The sun beat down on the small village nestled along the banks of the winding river. Despite the heat, the villagers went about their daily chores, the women washing clothes along the shore, the men fishing in their long wooden canoes. Life in the village was simple, but good. That all changed one fateful morning. Grok, the village's strongest warrior, went with his son Kubu to fish in their secret spot further downstream where the crocodiles were plentiful. As Grok stood on the riverbank spearing fish while Kubu gathered their catch, an enormous crocodile suddenly erupted from the water. It was the size of a hippo, with dagger-like teeth as long as a man's arm. The village elders had warned about this mythical creature, the crocodile god that dwelled in the river. The crocodile god fixated its reptilian eyes on Kubu. Sensing the danger, Grok leapt in front of his son as the crocodile charged. Its massive jaws clamped down on Grok's torso, shaking him violently. Grok screamed in agony, but refused to let go of his spear. As the crocodile thrashed him about, he drove his spear deep into its eye. The creature released Grok and recoiled in pain. Seizing the opportunity, Grok stabbed it repeatedly until the crocodile god went limp and drifted away down the river. Bloody and stunned, Grok and Kubu hurried back to the village. Grok collapsed as soon as they arrived. Because of the abomination the fisherman and his son have caused, they decided to conceal the secret from the villagers. "Father, I know you are very ill, but I will toil hard and go into the deepest forests to find a cure for you. If this secret gets to the chief and his people, we will be doomed. For the meantime, let's keep this to ourselves till I find a cure for your sickness," Kubu calmly said to his father. Around midnight, he set off into the forests and found an array of medicinal herbs meant for treating deeply wounded injuries. The young man quickly packed them into his bag and rushed home before the villagers were awoken by the cockcrow. Kubu constantly told the other fishermen that his dad had traveled to the neighboring town to visit some of his family members. Days passed and weeks emerged. The curious fishermen were now venturing at the doorstep of Grok to find out his whereabout. Surprised their friend didn't tell them about his journey. Because Kubu was no experienced herbal doctor, Grok's wound became worse with each passing day. It started to give off a terrible stench and yellowish fluids that called flies into their room. Kubu was afraid Grok might kick the bucket within the next few days. He ran to the courts of the palace and told the king about his father's condition. Before long, the greatest herbalists had emerged at the gates of Kubu and his father's hut. The healers tended to his wounds as he described his encounter with the crocodile god. The elders' faces turned grim. By killing the crocodile god, Grok had doomed them all. Its followers would come to avenge its death. The next morning, an eerie fog settled over the land. The river churned wildly as dozens of crocodiles, each as big as the crocodile god, crawled onto shore and headed for the village. Their heavy footfalls shook the ground. The jaws of the creatures unhinged, revealing rows of fangs capable of biting a man in half. The villagers screamed and ran for cover. The warrior tried to mount a defense, but their spears and arrows bounced harmlessly off the crocodile's armored hides. Men, women, and children were snared in the crocodile's vice-like jaws, their blood spilling onto the earth. Huts were trampled and the storehouses smashed open, their precious grain devoured. Within hours, the entire village was demolished, its inhabitants either eaten or scattered. Grok watched helplessly from his sick bed as everything he knew and loved was destroyed. It was his punishment for killing the crocodile god. As man-eating crocodiles overran the surrounding area, the few surviving villagers fled into the hills. Deprived of leadership and their homes, they became nomads, living in fear of the wild crocodiles that hunted them at every turn. Tales spread of the devastated village and the warrior Grok, who brought about the crocodile apocalypse. Great gods and goddess came to the forecourts of the village to perform libations and incantations to ward off the crocodile army. Some set shrines in the center of their markets, whilst others built altars to communicate to the man-eating crocodiles. all to no avail. The damage caused by this army was far worse than any war that had occurred in the land or in other towns. Grok decided to take matters into his own hands and plead with the gods of the river. As he poured out his heart to the river gods, a chilling hand touched him from behind. It was the daughter of the river god. She had come to deliver a message from her father to Grok. "I know you're deeply saddened by your actions and its effect on your village, but nothing can be done now. The crocodile army is far too powerful for my father to control. For now, there's nothing to be done. Go into your chambers and think about your family, and let peace take its own way within the hearts of the crocodile army," she said. However, nothing changed. It was the same experience every day in the village. Grok never forgave himself. He refused to eat and wasted away, consumed by guilt. A month after the attack, his boy Kubu found him lifeless in his bed. With trembling hands, Kubu closed Grok's eyes for the final time. He said a prayer that his father's spirit would find peace, even as their world remained at the mercy of the giant crocodiles roaming the land. For they were no longer animals, but demons who feasted on mankind. And it was Grok who had unleashed them through his impulsive act. The remaining villagers scattered, always fleeing the giant crocodiles stalking the land. No longer animals, but demons. All because of Grok's rash actions. As the infested jungle overtook the region, Kubu swore to one day purge the curse and reclaim their home, or die trying, for the sake of his slain kin and his father's tortured soul.